Hello YouTube, my name is Colin. Have you ever seen a game remake or remaster announcement before and think to yourself, my god, never in my wildest dreams would someone remake this game. But now that I've seen it, I must have it. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening was released for the Nintendo Switch on September 20th, 2019. This, of course, is a remake slash remaster of the classic 1993 Game Boy game, which, yes, was already remastered in 1998 for the Game Boy Color, but I guess this is a game that's so nice that I made it thrice. The story is simple, but a nice twist on the usual Zelda formula. While sailing abroad, Link's ship crashes onto an isolated island, and the only way he can get out is to awaken the legendary Windfish. In order to awaken the Windfish, you'll need to collect the 8 magical instruments by completing all 8 of the dungeons located on Koholint Island, then proceed to the final boss. Again, it's a simple Zelda-like story, but it's nice to be collecting something other than pendants or sages, and not trying to rescue a princess. Now, the biggest improvement in this version is the visuals. This game looks stunning, and the art direction is just on point. The chibi toy style fits perfectly for a top-down Zelda game and is one that will never age. It will always look good. All the areas look great as well, with your usual forest zone, desert zone, lake area, and mountain locales. I mean, these areas all do look like a perfectly crafted toy diorama while not being too cluttered, very easily digestible, making for smooth and relaxing gameplay. But easily, the best part of the visual upgrade is how it makes the characters feel more alive, more expressive than ever, just full of personality. Anytime these guys react or make an action, you can tell exactly how they are feeling by just looking at their face. And trust me, these characters are memorable. I still got them all seared into my brain when playing the original Game Boy game, and this game just amplifies it. Especially the town characters, the boys playing catch, Taryn and Marin, the family with the baby. But the best, of course, is still the shopkeeper. I remember my mind was blown when I discovered you could actually steal an item from his shop. But of course, the next time you go back, do so at your own peril. It's funny though. I remember everyone being up in arms over the Wind Waker visual style when that came out, but then everyone else began gushing over this style years later. Gameplay wise, it's just a typical 2D Zelda game. You of course got your sword and shield with a plethora of other items. But besides the visuals, the other best feature is being able to set 2 of your tools on the X and Y button, with the sword always being on the A button, the shield on the R button, and the Pegasus boots on the L button. I mean, you gotta remember, this was originally just a Game Boy game. You used to be limited just to using 2 buttons, causing you to pause the game all the time. Like the visuals, these updates just make the game run more smoothly, making it a joy to play. The dungeons in the game are excellent as well, all of them with a unique feel and following the tried and true Zelda formula of collecting keys, maps, compasses, finding the key item, and using that to progress. What is a nice bonus are the mini bosses, and I wish more Zelda games would include something like this. When you are about 50 to 60% through a dungeon, you'll encounter one of these guys, and when you defeat them, they spawn a permanent warp that links the beginning of the dungeon to the mini-boss room. A really helpful bonus. The hardest part of each dungeon, though, isn't actually the dungeon itself, it's finding the damn thing. To get to each dungeon, you have to do some sort of event in the overworld, like finding the right key or completing some sort of quest, which can be a pain to figure out. You gotta remember, this is a port of a 90s Game Boy game. The game will not hold your hand like modern games do now. There are no waypoints, you just gotta explore yourself. That being said, exploring is a blast, since this game is filled with secrets in every nook and cranny. So, if you have played the original, playing this version is like riding a bike. You'll be surprised how much you will remember. For instance, I remember walking past that forest tunnel hundreds of times in the original as a kid, and seeing it again in this modern version really brings back the memories. This game really is basically a one-to-one port of the original with some minor adjustments. What is a welcome improvement is the collection menu. This feature does a great job tracking all your heart pieces and secret seashells, So if you're looking to 100% this game, I would say go for it, since the game does a great job of tracking your progress. The one new thing this version does add is the Dungeon Maker, and it's just okay. Basically, throughout the game you can collect these plates, which represent one room in a dungeon. The problem is, all these pieces you collect are just pre-existing rooms. You can't really create your own room from scratch. Plus, after you build the dungeon, there's no online feature to share it. Again, it is nice to have, but doesn't really bring much to the table. I know a lot of people don't like this feature, but I feel they were just comparing it to Mario Maker. Now that's a whole game. This is just meant to be a bonus, so I don't judge it too harshly. Once you collect all 8 magical instruments, it's time to awaken the Windfish. You enter the final dungeon, and again, it uses that archaic dungeon design of needing to follow these random instructions from a random book in town in order to find the final boss. Once you get over that final hump, though, then it's a proper final boss fight. You start fighting against all of Link's biggest enemies in the past, or his greatest nightmares. Once you've felled the great beast, the Windfish then wakes up, and it is one of the most somber endings for a Zelda game ever. You see, this entire island is a manifestation of the Windfish's dreams, and now that he is waking up, the island is set to disappear forever. You then see everything vanish and Link wake up in the real world. This really is one of the more darker endings to a Zelda game, but it does lead the path for darker entries in this franchise, like Majora's Mask or Twilight Princess. Overall, if you're going to play one version of this game, this one's easily the best. What I find most amazing about this game is how little they change. I mean, other than the visual upgrades, adding a few bells and whistles, they took a Game Boy game and made it a fully fledged Switch game. Just shows to go how deep that Game Boy game really is. Reviews at the time were generally favorable as well, mostly giving it a 9 out of 10, which is spot on. Price wise, it's a newer game, so it hovers around the $40 mark, very affordable. My one request though is that for Nintendo to make a 2D Zelda Maker in the vein of Mario Maker. Again, that was the biggest qualm most people had with this version. So if they were to actually do it, that would be amazing. Just think of all the inventive stuff the internet can do with that tool and those crazy levels. It would be awesome. But I'm not holding my breath. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. I'll probably make a Zelda Echoes of Wisdom video as well once that drops. Thanks, bye.